And what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Off the Record. I'm your host, RJ Starsvik, the interim host as of now. Me and Mamba Smith, who just made, at the time of this recording, just made his ARCA Menard Series debut. Congratulations to him. Finished ninth. We'll be alternating hosts throughout the weeks here. So I'm back here again as the host of Off the Record, and I got a great guest with me today, Garrett Miller. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming on. Introduce yourself. What's up?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. So I am Garrett Miller. I work for Ryan Ellis a little bit, and also I'm in tech sales as well, just kind of trying to break into the motorsports industry via sales. So that's kind of what I'm geared towards. I also travel a little bit on the road with him as well and just kind of pick up the pieces. So that's pretty much my life in a nutshell.
Yeah, man, like traveling, I know, you're not traveling to every race weekend. Obviously, you're at home right now for Indianapolis weekend, but the races that you do travel to, I mean, how is it? And do you feel like I'm sure you're traveling more now than, you have in the past to races.
Yeah, so this season I think I've already been to like 6 races, which, he's a part-time driver, so I'm not on the road every weekend, which is nice. But also, it's kind of a low budget operation. Not every time he can afford to, pay for a flight or anything like that. So a lot of times we're just, taking a car and we're on the road. And the lifestyle is a little bit different than what the average race fan might think, but it's a good time, and it's I've really gotten to know Ryan a lot over the last couple of months. So good friendship there.
Yeah, man, I saw you last in Nashville, obviously, and which was a race that was going really well for Ryan, until it wasn't, until
Yeah.
just circumstances and racing happened, life happened. Why was he running 12th? I think it was.
Yeah, he was running 12th at the time with 3 laps to go. He's had two 13th place finishes so far this season, which I think is the best regular mile-and-a-half finish for Alpha Prime as a team.
Yeah.
But one note to make though, that was definitely the hottest race I've ever been at. You were standing right beside me.
Yep.
We were sweating so much. I think we both went through like 15 waters during that race. So, and that still wasn't enough. I was cooked after the end of the day. But yeah, this is what happened to his car with 3 to go. I guess a lug nut got wedged between the hub and the rim and kind of snapped off part of the rim there. So you can see it just almost broke free. But luckily he was okay. He got it back on pit road in one piece. No damage to the car other than that. And I think they were able to talk NASCAR out of a lug nut penalty as well. So that's cool too. But it wasn't cool because he finished 23rd and should have finished 12th. So, that wasn't the best case scenario.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a really good day for Alpha Prime because I think Parsons was doing really good too, and it was kind of like a differing strategy. I mean, we were sitting there in the box. You had the headset saying, you were telling me how we were going on the strategy of no tires, just gas. I think it was towards the end. And basically, I think we're like the only team on that strategy, and it paid off.
Yeah, I think you were. Michael, he's Ryan's crew chief on the 44, and he's a younger guy, but he's really good. I think he's much better with strategy than he is with setup, but he's starting to get really good at setup as well. So he's definitely an up and coming crew chief in his own respect. But yeah, I think it would have been at least a 12th place finish, maybe even a top 10. He was about to pass the 11th place car there too. So unfortunate for him. You never want to hear that on the radio. You start screaming with 3 laps to go. You're like, oh crap, your heart just sinks. But that's racing for you. So
yeah, it sucks. I mean, we're sitting there just baffled by what had happened. And you mentioned how that race weekend was like the hottest you've ever been to. I mean, we were sitting there on pit road just absolutely baking because we don't have any shade where we are. I mean, we're just thankful for all the waters that we have. I'm pretty sure we went through like at least the weekend in total double digits amount of water.
Yeah, and I speak for myself when I say I might have been a little bit dehydrated from the night before, but so the water was of utmost importance. I don't think I would have had quite the night I had before had I known it was going to be 115 degrees at the track. So yeah, it was toasty, but great time. I love Nashville. It's a great city. Can't wait to go back. I think they're going to go with Fairgrounds next year though, so we'll see.
Yeah. That'd be nice. Yeah. A nice little change of scenery. I'd love to get back to Nashville. It was fun. I mean, I hope they do it. Let's do it at night. Right. Like,
yeah. I mean, the fairgrounds would be really cool. It's like half a mile from Broadway. It's walking distance to pretty much everything. It's pretty awesome. So excited to see what happens there.
That would be pretty cool. What race are you planning on heading to next? Do you think? What's on your schedule?
So I think I can't really remember the schedule, but I know that the last two. So he's got Indianapolis this week, then Michigan, and then Bristol and Darlington. Not really sure which order that's in, but I'm going to go to both of those. And then I think that's pretty much it. But 2023 is going to be exciting for us. Can't quite share every detail about that yet, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So I won't see you in Daytona.
You shouldn't see me in Daytona, but I don't even know if that's dead set yet. So
who knows? Who knows? It's all up in the air. But yeah,
I believe
Ryan,
there's still an open seat there, so we'll see.
Sweet. Yeah, but for Ryan, like you mentioned, for just building his schedule, I mean, I had him on our drivers meeting podcast with Tommy Joe last year. Probably one of my favorites, just because of all the stories that we told. It was just a lot of fun. He let us in on a lot of insight, a lot of fun stories, like you're gonna let us in here in a few. But you know, as a driver like Ryan, as a part-time guy that's just kind of going like race by race, trying to find the partners that he can to do every race that's possible. I mean, how hard is it for him, for you, for just everybody as a team to like continue to find these races for him and build this schedule?
Well, it's such a grind, and I'll tell you, it's super frustrating. As you know, this sport has a lot of money, and it also doesn't at the same time.
Yeah.
There are drivers who literally have nothing, and then there's drivers who can cut a check and basically sponsor themselves for a full-time ride. And that's frustrating because all of a sudden, you've done all this hard work, you've made thousands of phone calls, thousands of emails, and then someone comes out and buys a seat right underneath you. Yeah. That's just how the sport is now. Money talks, but it's a grind. It's very much a grind, and I'm proud of Ryan for doing that. It's taxing. I don't even think I could do it as much as he does, but tech sales is a lot more fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I know it's definitely a grind for what you do, for what Ryan does, and everybody involved. It's crazy. So we'll kind of jump to the fun side here real quick. I know you have some stories you wanted to share about that you've experienced with Ryan. So if you want to start on your first one, let's hear it.
So Ryan has this theory that on Broadway in Nashville, there are NASCAR spies that sit there and they stand and look over the people that are on Nashville, and they just see like, okay, this driver was out last night, this driver was out last night, and then they just random them the next day. So like Ryan got randomed, I think Saturday morning, and we were out, I think Thursday night. So yeah, he has a theory about that as well. But on the way up to Nashville's where the real story was, he almost choked and died on Zaxby's. Told me that he doesn't have any good luck with Zaxby's, and I look over at him and we're in the middle of nowhere and his face is literally like purple and he's like choking, and he pulls over into this trailer park and he like literally just like starts trying to like throw up to like save himself. I thought I was going to have to perform CPR on him, but luckily I did not. So
that was literally one of the first stories I think he told us on the drivers meeting, was about Nashville or Broadway, but it was from the previous year. And he was telling us a story about how Garrett Smithley almost got booted out of a bar.
Yeah, I've heard that story before. Yeah. Smithley, like his team like left him and he was basically there by himself. And yeah, that was interesting. I actually heard that story at Mid Ohio, which leads into the next story, but that's yeah. Smithley's a character, that's for sure.
He is, yeah. And you mentioned the Mid Ohio story, and that's the one with the Cody Ware incident, correct?
Yes. So Ryan was running 8th, I believe, with no laps to go. It was literally the last lap and last corner. As you know, Mid Ohio has that long sweeping right hand turn before it turns back left into short straight. And Cody just flat out overdrove the turn and sent Ryan into the tire barrier. And instead of finishing 8th, I think he finished like 29th. So that was frustrating. Ryan got out of the car and was like, literally punching his car. So that was fun. Cody came up to me and I think Cody thought that I was going to like try to like punch him or something. And I was like, dude, Cody, it's fine. And that's actually how I met Cody. And now we play a lot of video games together and he's an awesome guy. But, it was just kind of weird seeing like this guy that I literally just started interning with, and then his best friend like wreck him in the race when he's having a career day. And like his friend comes up to me basically in tears, like, I'm so sorry. I was like, that's how I met Cody Ware. I was like, this is so weird. But yeah, that was fun. And then we had a 10-hour drive back with his dad in his dad's van back home. So that was pretty nice. But
Yeah, and it
Interesting
all
trip.
positively ends in a cup race for Ryan later in the year, which was the crazy story of,
Yeah.
well, I
Yeah.
wrecked you. I kind of took your chance away from you at Mid Ohio, so we're gonna try and make it right here. And good
Yeah.
story.
That was classy. The Wares are a really great family, and they're good friends of ours.
Yeah, that was a great story. So, funny stories in the garage from Ryan. I'm sure there's plenty more, and we'll be back here on Off the Record. We're back here on Off the Record, and we're gonna switch gears here a little bit. We're gonna start talking about some Cup Series silly season, and I know there's a lot going on, a lot and a little going on, but the little part that's going on in silly season is a really big driver in this scenario here. It's Kyle Busch. Does not have a contract yet signed for 2023. Obviously, currently driving the 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing as he has for many years. But it's still uncertain. Where is he going to go? There's lots of candidates involved in this situation. But we'll kind of start off with you, Garrett. Like, what if you had to look? What do you think the most likely scenario is right now, or maybe most convenient for Kyle?
I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been losing sleep over it. I think we all have, any NASCAR fan, any DARF out there. We've all been losing sleep over the Kyle Busch situation. I'm sad to see M&M's go to start with. They've been in the sport for so long, but thankful for everything they've done. It's always sad when you see a huge sponsor like that leave the sport. We've unfortunately seen it too often. But I think the question comes down to not what team he's going to go with, but what manufacturer he's going to go with. The thing that's most interesting to me is if you look at the possibilities of where he's going to go, well, he could go anywhere, right? But it's Storehouse Racing and RCR. Those are the two front runners right now. And both of those different manufacturers. So it's like, who's going to throw the dollars forward to buy Kyle Busch at the end of the day? It's either going to be Ford or it's going to be Chevy. It would be really interesting to see him in a different manufacturer other than Toyota. He's done so much for TRD over the years. So I'm excited to see it, but it's kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah, it is. And like the big question is does Toyota, obviously, if Kyle Busch leaves Toyota, then there goes Kyle Busch Motorsports, more than likely. And I look at Ford as a team that like really feel like needs a development program, or needs at least another development program. You kind of think of the programs it has right now, and it's really, David Gilliland Racing in the truck series. Stuart Haas has an Xfinity team. We don't know if that's going to stay around next year or not. They have obviously merged with like SS Greenlight, Ryan Sieg Racing over the years, but they need something that sticks out, right? Some development program that sticks out, especially as their drivers start to get older in the system, like Kevin Harvick. How long is he going to stay in that 4-car, and just other Ford teams in the realm, right? Penske no longer has an Xfinity team. So I feel like Kyle Busch going to Ford, if he goes to Stewart Haas Racing, which is one of the front runners, as you mentioned, like there comes, I would assume, Kyle Busch Motorsports turning into a Ford program if he decides to keep it around. And I think that would be really huge for Ford.
Yeah. Yeah. That would, I mean, honestly, it's insane. Like, to think the amount of stuff that Toyota would lose in terms of NASCAR. It's honestly terrifying, because like that kind of lays out the groundwork for them to exit the sport if they want to, because there goes their entire truck development program. They have literally nothing else in the truck series besides, I think was it Thor Sport? Are they Ford or?
Just converted to Toyota this year,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
who
So
knows? They change every year. So
yeah, they've been changing around. So um, yeah, I mean that'd be kind of nuts. I mean, Toyota's already been bottlenecked as a development program. They've already produced more drivers than they can take in the Cup Series. So they need more Toyota cars, which is good to see 23XI kind of stepping into that role. Um, but I mean, I can't imagine KBM switching manufacturers. Like, that's even crazier to me than Kyle Busch switching manufacturers, in my opinion, because it's just going to change the whole landscape of Joe Gibbs's developmental program. I mean, where do those drivers go? Like Chandler Smith, where does he go? It's
exactly.
John Hunter Nemechek. Does he become a Ford driver? Like,
Do
again?
those guys want to follow over Kyle Busch? I mean, there's obviously a lot of them who have like built that relationship with Kyle Busch. Like John Hunter Nemechek's a guy who always thanks, Kyle Busch for an opportunity like that. And is he a guy that would be like, okay, KBM's, moving over, this development program is moving over to Ford. Do I just go with him? Because how many spots really are there in Toyota? How many spots are going to open up? Obviously, if Kyle Busch does go somewhere else, we kind of have an idea of who's going to get that 18 Cup car, which in being Ty Gibbs. So yeah, that opens, an Xfinity slot. But really, where does everybody go? Sam Hunt Racing is a Toyota team in the Xfinity series. That's kind of been, a team that's taken, obviously Chandler Smith's made some starts for them. John Nemechek's made some starts for them. But like, what else is there? If Toyota, if KBM gets taken away, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I could honestly see. I would think that KBM might even move to an Xfinity team if they're going to go Ford, because Ford needs Xfinity cars. That's why I feel like the manufacturer, like I said, like it's all about who's going to buy Kyle Busch from a manufacturer standpoint, not a team standpoint, because they're going to buy him and his development program. They're not just buying him as a driver. So that's really what it comes down to. But if you want to talk about what team he's going to land with, RCR would be the first option I would choose. But they just released a tweet with kind of a silhouette of a driver that's pretty clearly Austin Hill. So I think everybody could decipher that one pretty easily. So I think Austin Hill will be in the 8 car. I'm not sure if it's going to be next season. Rumors are that it will be. I mean, I'm sure if they're announcing it, it's going to be at least a 3rd car. But I would be surprised if Tyler Reddick's there next year. I know he's got another year on the contract, but I don't think he's going to stay there.
Yeah, I don't either. Just with the timing of the announcement, it seems like it just doesn't seem like it's going to work out that he'll be there next year. And Kyle Busch to RCR would be wild. Like that, just imagining that. Like first of all, Kyle Busch in a Chevy. I mean, like you said, anything other than a Toyota is going to be so weird. But Kyle Busch and Richard Childress racing, it's wild. It seems wild to me. It's crazy.
I think so. When Kyle first started out, very early on, he was actually in a Ford with Roush when Kurt was racing with them in the Busch series. So he's been with all 3 manufacturers, but it's just weird to see him in this role that he's in now. Like he's carrying so much weight. But a lot of people also forget this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Dale Jr. almost signed with Joe Gibbs when he was making the switch over to Hendrick. So you would have seen a lot more people down here in the South driving Toyotas if he had done that, I think. But all right, Mr. Interim Host. So where's Kyle Busch going to land? You haven't told the audience yet where Kyle Busch is going to land.
Where I think Kyle Busch is going to land?
Yeah.
I think
which car is he going to be in? I
think I'm going to say Stewart-Haas Racing. That's kind of my prediction. I would love to see that. I think Kevin Harvick, if he, obviously if he sticks around us, I think he will. If Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch as teammates would be great for society. That'd be awesome. Never thought I'd see the day as a young Kevin Harvick fan, but here it is. Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch as teammates. Does Cole Custer stick around? Does Cole Custer still have his ride there? I would like to think he does, obviously because of his connections. I don't think Eric Almirola will come back because I just feel like that's such a big commitment to stick for another season, but you never know. I've seen crazier things in the sport. But to give you a short answer, my prediction is Stewart-Haas Racing. I don't know whether it'd be the 10 or the 41 car, but I think it'll be, or maybe gets a different number. Who knows? Gets his own number. Just says, give me my own number. That's my prediction. I think Stewart-Haas Racing. You think Richard Childress Racing?
I mean, it's honestly a toss-up. I could see the 10. I could see the 41. I could see a 3rd car for Trackhouse. I just don't know if Trackhouse has the money. That's, like I said, that's another situation where it's like it's Chevy that's going to buy him at the end of the day. It's not going to be Trackhouse. It's not going to be Stewart-Haas. It's going to be the manufacturer, because the price tag on this driver is just too big for a team to afford right now. So, and it sounds like he's not really carrying any sponsorship with him. So, it's definitely going to come down to the manufacturers. But I do think it's going to be RCR at the end of the day. So we'll see.
We'll have to see. So lots of interesting stuff, surprisingly, in silly season. Where will Kyle Busch land? And we'll talk about some more stuff around the NASCAR world when we come back here on Off the Record. And we'll come back here on Off the Record, and we're going to talk a little bit about something that's made waves, not like incredible waves, because there's been so much stuff going on in the NASCAR world recently, but something that kind of like was popular for one day, kind of been flying under the radar, that NASCAR could introduce an electric series to the sport at some point and could replace the Xfinity series. That's been talked about a lot as well. Me personally, I've looked into it a little bit. I haven't read like all I probably need to read on it and stuff like that. I don't know how much you have, but what are you thinking about it, man? Electric series in NASCAR?
Yeah, you could kind of say it's made shockwaves, right? So,
Ah,
but it's yeah, I mean, I'm all for it because listen, it's going to be 1,000 horsepower. It's going to be instant torque. Can you imagine what those restarts are going to look like?
oh
That's
God.
like, can you imagine 40 Teslas firing off and just like instantly going from like what 50 miles an hour to 100 in like 2 seconds? I mean, that would be really
Yeah.
fun to watch. Um, thing that I am not happy about, that I'm interested to see is the sound. If it's anything like Formula E, then gross,
Oh gosh. Those sound like
Formula E.
vacuum cleaners, the ones
Yeah,
you
it's
want to watch
super
them
cool to
on.
watch, but it's like I have to watch it on mute because it's just like,
I can't listen to it. It hurts.
yeah, it hurts my ears.
Yeah.
But I love the idea. I say run with it. Don't necessarily replace the Xfinity Series though, because I think that's a stupid idea. It's literally the
Yeah.
best racing in NASCAR.
It is. It is.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's so much beating and banging. Then you have like everything from 15th to 25th is like literally the same car. So, and that's right where Ryan races pretty much every weekend. So, um, I can tell you that's some good racing that goes on back there. But I would maybe play around with like K&N or ARCA, replacing some of that. And I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion with the diehards, but like yourself probably. But I would
No,
replace
I'm not
ARCA
opposed
before I
to it at
replace.
all. Let's
Okay.
replace ARCA with the electric series. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. Can they afford it? Probably not, but like, I think it'd be cool.
Well, NASCAR's picking up the tab either way.
Oh, that's
So
true. Yeah, NASCAR pick up the tab. That's true.
yeah, just let
I
NASCAR
say
pay
let's
for it.
do it then. Yeah, I'm totally opposed to replacing the Xfinity series because, as most people know, I'm very biased towards Xfinity. Just because it's a great series, great racing, love everybody in the garage area. Obviously, I did a podcast with an Xfinity driver. We talked about Xfinity all the time. And so I love the Xfinity series. I don't want them to replace it. It's, I think, in a great state. Like the Xfinity series is a great spot. I mean, they've been, they're at a point where they've used the same car for a while now. A lot of people have shots for top tens, top fives, wins. There, I feel like a lot of people mentioned more competitive than ever. I know there was somebody by the name of, I think it was Cody Efall, went on a podcast and said the Xfinity series watered down. And I know I'm just the guy behind the microphone, but I will defend my series at all costs. And I think the Xfinity series, I don't think it's very watered down. I think it's very competitive. But back to the point on the electric series. Yeah, definitely not opposed to replacing ARCA. I think that'd be cool. But I think it's something cool to experiment with. It's something new. Obviously, it would get a lot of eyes because it's new. But it's just a matter of, will it be a success or not? Will it keep that same prestige? And is it something that will benefit us in the future? I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Still a lot
I
of
mean,
question marks.
you've heard a lot of people say it. I'm going to say it, but I love to see NASCAR taking shots. I love to see NASCAR taking chances. I know they're sitting on a lot of cash from, the rich years, but they need to be spending it. They need to be trying things. They need to be trying to save the sport. I would be more frustrated if they just sat there with their hands tied behind their back and didn't do anything. So, um, Formula One has a really good hybrid engine. It's a V6. I would honestly like to see a hybrid engine racing series more than I would a full electric series because I just don't. I mean, that's a pretty rough transition to go from a sport that's, it's built upon having a loud engine, gas, it's a big motor to all of a sudden we're racing with batteries. Like, that's a pretty big transition, but something hybrid I could understand, and hybrid engines are what we're using on the roads today too. So
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy to see a lot of the drivers that have kind of sparked interest in racing NASCAR, whether they're obviously they're all kind of just doing it for fun, kind of expanding their horizons. But we got F1 drivers, especially at Indianapolis. An F1 former F1 driver raced in the Daytona 500. We got drivers coming. I enjoy watching the drivers from all different professions coming across to race NASCAR, obviously, especially on the road courses. But we've seen a lot of new guys like Sage Karam. We've seen Jade Buford and Chris Wright. We've seen tons of more drivers that have spent kind of their lives racing either open wheel or sports cars. And now they're here in NASCAR, not just doing one-offs. Even the one-offs are really cool, but trying out ovals, trying out tracks like Daytona, trying out tracks like Kansas. getting involved in the sport. I think that's really cool, especially how you mentioned the F1 drivers who are coming and trying out NASCAR. I think it's really awesome.
Right. Yeah. I'm super excited for the Iceman. Kimi Räikkönen going to make his Cup Series debut at Watkins Glen later this season. And then you have Daniel Kvyat kind of making a surprise Cup debut this weekend, actually, in Indianapolis. So not expecting much out of that. It is the 26 car, which, by the way, I was going to mention, that's a Toyota. Kind of interesting. They've been part-time with Ford, and I felt like they were pretty dedicated to Ford, and all of a sudden they show up in this Toyota. So another question I have with that is, do you think there's maybe some alliance there with like, TRD that, hey, could that be a Gibbs car that he's rolling out there in this week? Could it be competitive?
I don't know.
So
I'd probably ask people about that too, because I have no idea. I mean, I thought the same thing. I saw it and I was like, Toyota, that's weird. I mean, I would expect, if any team's going to run a bunch of different manufacturers out there for no reason, it's Rion Brothers Racing. So
yeah,
it would be them with the Hessebergs. But yeah, it did seem like a team that was like committed to Ford, and now he kind of comes in there. It's running a Toyota, obviously under the team banner and everything. So I don't know. As we speak,
I did notice that Josh Rayum was listed as the owner of the 26, and he runs Toyotas and Truck Series. So maybe it has something to do with that. I'm not really sure.
maybe. I mean, yeah, it is. They're the teams are working together. It's Rion Brothers Racing, Hesseberg. They're really the same thing. They got pretty much all Rion Brothers Racing crew over there working on those cars, I believe. But obviously, they got to have two different teams working on those cars, and obviously, they have their truck team and IRP. So I'm sure it's a very, very, very busy week for them, because I know they don't have a lot of people, and now they're putting two cup cars out there, two trucks out at IRP Racing. And I know they have some people helping on that 13, I believe, for MBM with Brad Perez's car. So I'm sure it's a busy week for all those guys. But that's an interesting point. Why is it a Toyota? And is there any help in there? That's interesting.
Yeah. It's not like there's extra bodies laying around. So it's,
No, there's not. It's very scarce to find it. That's why,
yeah.
like, I can't believe they were just like, oh yeah, let's just buy it.
Yeah, like had this been last year, I wouldn't have thought, twice about it, because you saw several teams using different manufacturers and it was like the norm. But yeah, definitely interesting this year.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we can kind of cap off this little part. Obviously talking about the electric series, we noted on the Xfinity series, noted on Hesseberg. But the Xfinity series, we can kind of conclude on that. Obviously, we don't want it gone, and there's a reason, because there's so much star power, so much smaller Xfinity series teams. I kind of want to know something quick, that there's a lot of Cup guys racing in the Indianapolis road course race, and there's a lot of Cup guys that are actually racing week in and week out at road courses. Me personally, I'm a fan. Obviously, as someone relating to a guy that drives for smaller teams, we all love the smaller teams. I love it. There's a lot of fans that don't like Cup drivers racing in Xfinity. I personally love it when a Cup driver could come in and race for a smaller team, right? Like,
yeah.
You look at, for example, like Ross Chastain when he comes in and runs for DGM, right? When Cole Custer won for SS Greenlight Racing, Bobby Dotter, that team. When Tyler Reddick won for Big Machine Racing. I love those types of things. It's kind of like those feel-good stories, whether they are aligned with the Cup team or not. I think those are really cool, especially in weekends like these road courses where, like, all these different teams are getting this exposure just because of who's in the seat. I think that's really cool.
Gotcha. Yeah. 100%. This weekend they have six full-time Cup drivers: Ty Dillon, Austin Dillon, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, and Alex Bowman. I personally love to see that. I think Chase Briscoe will be really competitive this weekend. Him and AJ, can't wait to see them battle. It's going to be a great race, but I think, the best way to teach these kids how to drive is to put them up against the Cup Series drivers. And, I grew up going to the Busch Series races. So like, it was great when I got to see all the heroes, when I paid half the price. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching Kyle dominate, every year when I went to Bristol, but I'm excited to see the rest of the season play out. And there's the thing about Xfinity Series as well is, like, you don't necessarily need the Cup guys to come down, because you have people like Justin Allgaier and AJ Allmendinger. Like, those guys are really great, and in my opinion, they're borderline Hall of Famers in their own right. So yeah, I mean, it's a talented series.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes it, in the past, I think the series being more competitive than ever is just not, it's no longer a guaranteed win for a cup driver. And it wasn't even when Kyle Busch was running his races. I mean, there were a lot of wins that he had to fight for,
It was like a 50% chance though,
yeah, a 50% chance still.
Yeah.
Obviously he's running the best car in the field coming in there. But weekends like last weekend, Cole Custer drove the 07. Now that car was just a straight up SS Greenlight car because it was supposed to be Joe Graff racing in that car, and he was kind of just filling in. I'm not sure with Chase Briscoe this weekend in Indianapolis. I don't think anybody's reported on if that's just a straight up SS.
Oh, it's a Stuart Haas car.
Stuart Haas car. Okay.
Yeah.
I would figure. Andy Lally, on the other hand, I'm pretty sure he's just driving a good old SS Greenlight car in that 08. But those are the stories that I like. They're nice. They're cool. And especially with the Xfinity series, like just being so loaded this year, it's they all just kind of mix up through the pack. You could even see in qualifying, I think Riley Herbst was like top 3. I think it was Xfinity drivers top 3 starting spots. I think AJ Allmendinger, pole, Gibbs is right next to him. And I think Riley Herbst was 3rd, or that might have been Chase Briscoe. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think Chase was 3rd and then Herbst was 4th. Because they all went 3. So Herbst was on the pole at first, and then they all 3 went faster at the very last second. But it's going to be a great race, great rest of the season up ahead. Excited to see what Ryan does tomorrow. Starting kind of far back, but we're used to that. So he's good at racecraft though.
Our teammate Sage Karam had a really good qualifying effort too.
Yep.
So hopefully he has some better, cleaner luck, and nobody wrecks him this time.
I was glad to see him have a good run at Pocono. He needed that for sure.
Great. Yeah. Top 20, I think, right? 19th or 20th. He got
Yep.
So awesome run for Sage. So we'll be back here to wrap it up here on Off the Record. All right, welcome back here on Off the Record. We're gonna wrap up about a thing how me and you, Garrett, we kind of met through some Ryan Ellis stuff, but we I think first started talking through iRacing. We did a Daytona charity shootout together last year. I had you up in the booth with me for the qualifiers, and then you participated in the race the next night. So that was a lot of fun. But iRacing is the thing that you did probably a lot more before than you do now. Same here. You did Monday Night Racing, which is the league that's kind of been taken off over the last year for sure. It's gotten a lot of publicity, a lot of drivers from a lot of people, I should say, from different professions competing in that. So as far as you and iRacing, I mean, how was your time racing MNR? How often do you still hop on the simulator? Is it very often, not often?
So I hop on the simulator, but not to play iRacing anymore. It's mostly just because my computer's attached to it, and I pull up my keyboard and do some homework on it or something like that. But MNR was amazing. I got to race against guys like Dale Jr. I got to race against Kyle Busch, Parker Kligerman, pretty much like all of the gods of iRacing. Like I got to race against them, and it was incredible. Like being on all teams with them and chatting with them a little bit. Like I'm friends with Kyle Busch on Discord, and I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. But it was super competitive, and I was getting lapped a lot, and I just didn't have time to practice. Decided to take a breather from it this season. Told Ford, hey, just let me bail out this season. It's been great, but I feel like I'm just taking up a spot at this point. So he understood, and I might try to hop back in next season. We'll see. But I think we might have something in the works. So.
Might, yeah, for sure. Over this off season, I know that's usually when a lot of iRacing stuff pops up. I usually try to do the Daytona charity shootout around it usually happens in December now, November, December, because that's right when everyone's kind of just hanging out, not really doing much. But obviously we were talking to Nashville, might plan something for the off season. So for you iRacers out there and you're, looking for something to do. And obviously our goal here is to try to make it something that's not really on the market right now, something that's kind of unique, something special, something fun, something that's not too long, not too time consuming, but obviously something, what we were saying, something in the mix of like MNR and Moon Car. We're going to try to meet in the middle. We're going to try to meet in the middle, something that we all could just have some fun with. And our battles right now, are we going to be in the booth or are we going to be behind the wheel?
Yeah. We're both racers at heart, but it's like, I think we both get really frustrated too if we don't do well. So
exactly. I love to watch everybody, especially depending on the track and car combos we pick. Sometimes it's better to just watch everyone else suffer instead. So I don't know. Hopefully, we're hoping it's fun though. But that could be the thing that we end up doing over the off season. But yeah, iRacing, me personally, my wheels broke, my whole setup's gone, so I'm just waiting for my new one to come in. Racing iRacing on a controller is very weird. I wouldn't recommend it over a setup. I would definitely do a wheel instead. The control, it's so twitchy. Like I did Atlanta.
Yeah, it's not
I wasn't
possible.
gonna do anywhere else because I knew I actually. Oh, the funny story is Stephen Malozzi, who just made his truck debut at Mid Ohio, texted me saying, "Hey, you want to hop on iRacing? I need someone to practice with." And I'm like, "All right, cool." Like, he's getting ready for his race at Mid Ohio. I'm like, "Cool, I'll hop on." I'm all right at road courses. I never race any stock cars on the road courses, but I'll just help you practice. We'll hop in an AI race. And that's when I found out my wheel was broke, but I still wanted to race with him. So I hooked up my controller, and oh my God, a controller at a road course in a truck is awful. It was terrible. I was like on it because like you want to drive it like you're racing like NASCAR heat or something like that, but it's just not. It's not.
No.
It's not even close. Like the joystick is just twitching like crazy, so it doesn't work. I wouldn't recommend controller at all, much less a road course with any car. Probably it was bad.
Yeah, that's not a good time. But if you're up here in North Carolina, we could probably hook you up with a rig. So just saying,
Yeah,
think about it.
yeah, I know a lot of people up there got some nice rigs. So I've kind of been doing the Timmy Hill setup for the last 2 years. I just got the little monitor in front of me with the wheel that I just hold on my desk. So it works sometimes. Sometimes I have good runs, sometimes I don't. So what is your favorite? As a driver, what's your favorite thing to race on iRacing? Like car, what's your favorite car to race? What's your favorite track to race?
By far, well, the track's a little harder to pick out for me, but by far the best car to race on iRacing, in my opinion, is the Miata. It's so diverse. You can race it at Martinsville. You can race it at Daytona. You can race it on, Lime Rock. It's super fun. It teaches you braking points. It teaches you how to roll through corners and how to carry speed and not scrub it. I think it's a perfect car to, learn how to honestly use iRacing on. Other than that, if I'm going to go to stock car side of things, I would say the late model at Concord. For some reason, at Concord Speedway, that little short triangle, which is no
Yeah.
longer there, unfortunately, but I dominated in that. Like I have like a 25% win rate, which is good for a scrub like me. So I love that track a lot. It's a heavy tire wear. You have to be really heavy on the brakes as well. So I love it.
Yeah, I was a guy that kind of like started falling in love with like some sports cars at road courses because I was trying to get in more to road racing. And when I did, I've now done the 24 hours Daytona 2 years in a row, and it was just a lot of fun. Like I love the high speeds and the braking. I love the grip that they have.
Oh my
Obviously,
gosh, yeah, that was so much fun.
when you drive a stock car, when you drive a NASCAR on a road course, you're just at least me, I was just fighting it the whole time. But the sports cars are a lot better. You mentioned the Miatas. I have never even driven a Miata. I need to do it. I should probably buy one. Or no, are those the free cars?
They're free. Yeah,
Oh,
they're
okay, so
free.
I have. Okay, I've
You've
driven
definitely,
those.
I'm pretty sure like you can't even do like some races
Yeah,
unless you've
I've
driven
driven
a
those. I
Miata.
drove them. That was it. I drove Miatas all the way until 4 a.m, the night before the before the 24 hours Daytona, so I could get to C class 2 years ago. Because
Yeah.
originally I wasn't gonna do it, and somebody just asked me, "You want to do 24 hours Daytona?" I was like, "Dude, I don't even iRace. I barely race." And he was like, "Well, you got to get to C class road," and I had never done a road official race, so I grinded Miatas at Charlotte Roval, and I think Ferraris at somewhere. Until
Yep.
like 4
Yep.
in the
I
morning
remember.
to get to
Yep.
C class, and I did it and raced the 24-hour race. I think we finished like ninth or something. I don't know. Wasn't great, but those were fun. And as far as like tracks, let's see. Yeah, that's definitely a harder one to do.
I
One more
definitely do
thing.
have to say the 24 hours is my favorite event on iRacing
Yeah, I
and
love it.
probably in video games in general. Like that, I did it this year and that was probably the most fun I've ever had. Um, I had a team of 4 guys and all three of them kind of like one had COVID, another one had a girlfriend like situation pop up, and the other one had to work. He was a bartender and had to work till 3 a.m. So like I literally did, I think like 17 hours,
Gosh. Yeah, I always
but
got the
it
night
was fun.
shifts. I
Yeah.
always got the night shifts. The first year I did, this year I was a little more prepared. We had some more people on the team, but the first year I did it, we had 3 people on the team, and nobody was really taking it too seriously. We kind of just did it for fun. And so, when people had to wake up they didn't wake up. And so I
Mhm.
think I did 6 straight hours. I did 1 a.m. to 6
I remember
a.m.
you telling me about
Yeah,
that.
I was supposed to do 1 a.m. to 3 a.m., but my good old buddy didn't wake up at 3 a.m. And I'm just sitting there just driving by myself in Discord.
Weren't you on the Toby Christie team?
This year I was. This was the year before.
Oh, okay, I
I
got you.
just did some random team, and so obviously it wasn't ideal. And I was falling asleep at the wheel at like 5 in the morning. Like I was on the backstretch, and I'm falling asleep, and I wake myself up, and I'm like almost at the inside wall. I'm like, oh my god, and I'm like driving through the grass of the bus stop, and I had to like finally like 20 minutes before my other teammate woke up for his 6 a.m. shift. Like I was like, I just parked it on pit road before I totaled the car. I was like, just to be safe, I'm gonna just park it here, wait for this guy to wake up. And he like finally hits in the Discord. I'm like, thank God. He's like, why are you racing? I'm like, yeah, other guy didn't wake up, so here I am.
Jeez Louise.
The Toby one was better. We had like 6 people on the team, so it was very hard to have an incident like that. But I still got a lot of racing. I think I did like 7 total hours, and most of it was the night shift. So I was racing like at night, like 3 a.m. I just took whatever everybody didn't want. So I just took that. But yeah, 24 hours Daytona was fun. But the one thing I want to mention is one time I did a few races with some buddies a few years back, and it was like Pro 2 trucks at Charlotte Roval. And I got to say, that is one of the most fun I've had racing in those.
It is.
Trucks.
It is. So M&R, this is the most fun event I did, and I did not do well, but Pro 2 trucks at Watkins Glen, you can like draft going down the straightaways. Yeah. It's insane. It's nuts.
Yeah,
but the thing is like,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to enforce though, because those things do not turn easily. So like a lot of times they would corner cut, and it was like you have to have race control on their toes that whole time. And it gets tough when you have a field of 40 cars. So, but I love them. I want to do Pro 2 trucks at like a restrictor plate track, and like figure out how to do that.
I never tried that.
Yeah,
that'd be something else. Gosh, because I've done a few things in restrictor plates. Like I did a like super late model. There's some hosteds you'll find magically, like I did when I'd be scrolling, some magical fun hosteds that I'd find, and that was one of them. Pro 2 trucks at Charlotte, and then I think I did like a super late model race at Daytona. That was actually ended up being pretty fun. I know a lot of people do like Indy cars at Talladega. I think I did that once. I can't remember if that was fun or torture or not.
That was probably torture.
Probably a wreck fest. But yeah, iRacing, that's definitely something we can look forward to over the off season, getting some fun little track car combos going together, watching or racing. Hopefully it's a fun time. And obviously, if you get back into MNR, and you need some sponsor placement on your car, obviously, we can
You got the hookup.
We can negotiate once again. And
I appreciate
I know some
that.
more people too. We need some more Toby Christie cars.
That lucrative deal you cut me last time, I'm still set for life. So
yeah, we're all financially set for life from that deal that we had for Monday Night Racing.
You got so much television time from that, and I got so much money.
Amazing.
So
we did.
It was perfect.
We did get television time. I remember. I can't remember what race it was, but they put you on there. I think it was like Michigan or something.
Yeah, so I was in the wall.
Yeah, they put you on the broadcast. It was great, and your streams too. It was that was good to watch. So.
We can get those fired back up.
Oh yeah, get the streams fired back up. But yeah, that's the iRacing side of it, man. Garrett, it was great to have you on off the record. Great to talk, obviously, for what you do with Ryan Ellis, and get to talk about Cup and Xfinity and iRacing with you. It was great having you on, and I'm sure we'll have you on here sometime, or I'll have you on my good old drivers meeting podcast sometime.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me, RJ.
Awesome. That's Garrett Miller here on Off the Record, and we will see you all next week.